Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend. We have a jam-packed call, so we'll go ahead and get started here. So last week's 5-minute moneymaker. What do successful people like Elon Musk and Oprah Winfrey have in common? They have a huge amount of research to figure that out. One study broke it down into 7 things. They know their worth, and this makes them confident in the face of adversity. Specificity, knowing exactly what you want, not some vague idea. Value, they know that what the value that they have compared to the other people out there. Time management, know how to apply leverage, relationship oriented, and they view money differently. Successful people spend much less time thinking about saving money and much more time thinking about how to make it. The amount of money you save is limited. The amount of money you can make is unlimited. So these are good things. These are very successful people that they researched, and this is what they came up with. So it's worth taking a gander at, maybe printing and posting it someplace. So 5Q tape breakdown, be specific. Don't use words like they, it, that, stuff. Instead, say your advisor, your children. Instead of saying, how would you know it, you want to say, how would you know the market's going up? How would you know the market's going down? How would you know if somebody cared about this? So you got to be specific. Vagueness creates, and we saw that in the previous slide, right? Being specific is important. It's just the same when we talk to our clients. Be specific. And then I ran across this, I think, fantastic to-do list, time management to-do list. This guy from HubSpot actually showed that he has, I think, 5 years worth of these legal pads, because he saves all of them, of these to-do lists that he has. And I love the way he does it. Number one, he writes the date. Every day he does this. He writes the date on top, except for Sunday when he doesn't work. Okay. Then he's going to, number two, he's going to list all the to-dos that he has, the tasks that he has that day. So, I got to get the paperwork in. I got to pick up something. Write down the to-do things. And on number 4, he writes down his meeting times. I have a meeting at 10 and I have a meeting at 2. But then I think number 4 is one of the most important things that we need to do, which is he keeps track of the hours. At the end of every hour, I write down what I accomplished. This kicks me in the butt to get me back on track if I realize I slacked off that hour. It also gives me a snapshot of hours that I was most productive, so I can optimize my daily energy. Guys, when you start mentoring one-on-one with me on a week, I do coaching one-on-one with a handful of guys on a weekly basis. They have a set appointment in my calendar. And guess what the first thing that I have them do? Want to guess? So write down, what do you think the first thing I have them do? Nobody knows. Yep, keep track of the time. So I need to see their calendar every single week. Why? How many working hours are there in a week? 40, 50, 60, 70, depending on how hard you want to work, but at least 40. Which means by the end of the month, you've got 160 hours. If you're working 4 hours a week, you've had 160 hours at least of working time. So at the end of the month, can you validate that your results have been, that 160 hours is showing you the results that you want for spending that much time on something? And most of us, when we look back at that, what do we find? That's a lot of hours to work. And when we look at what we accomplished, we didn't accomplish a heck of a lot. Not for the amount of hours we put in. And then 5, daily summary. At the end of the day, I write a quick summary. How you feel, how you think the day went, what you could have done better, what you have to avoid the next time. This is a good recap. I think this is a fantastic. If you do this, I think doing this and your 15-minute drill will change your life. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. DocuBank, I just want to make sure, DocuBank is a fantastic tool, and everybody signs up for it, but I don't think you use it or leverage it nearly as much as you should. A couple of things. DocuBank Safe is the answer to where do you put all your documents. Every new DocuBank Complete membership includes 2 gigabytes of safe file storage. That can include just their estate planning or all sorts of things. They give examples: estate planning documents, financial documents, insurance policies, online password information, anything you want in there. That is a fabulous thing to take advantage of. Also, guys, if they have adult children or adult children that aren't married or young young adults, like in college or whatever, Document also has the ability to have the HIPAA form signed, so that if you need to access your kids' information or talk to a doctor, you can do that as well. Safe Complete includes the ability to create sub-accounts for family and friends. These Safes users have limited access to the Safe account, and additionally, you can elect a digital executor, so somebody else can get in there and monitor that. What did we find out about? This is probably 6 months ago. We'll see if anybody remembers this. What did we find out about if somebody goes into your digital records without, even though they're your son, if they don't have a signed document saying they're authorized, even though you've given them the verbal authorization, they go in without a signed authorization, is that legal? Yeah, so having a digital executor is a good thing to have, because it's not legal. It is not legal. It happens, but it's not legal. And you think, well, so what? I let my son do it. Where could that pop up? Let's see if some of you guys can think outside the box. So, geez, I told my son he could do it. What's the point? Who's going to complain about that? How is he going to get in trouble with that? How is he going to get in trouble, guys? Same way we get in trouble. How do we get in trouble? Yeah, somebody else challenges it, Sue, like a sibling. Like a sibling. Just like with us, we never have a client complain. Our clients love us. Who complains? Who's the one that always files a complaint if you ever get a complaint? Your clients? Never. It's the kids. The kids. So having a digital executor is an important thing to have. Make sense? I ran across this retirement quiz, and I thought it was worthwhile for us to make sure that we are up to speed on these things, and that we can share these questions with our clients. So, first question. Research by Fidelity Investments recommends that workers should aim to save what multiple of their ending salary at age 67 in order to meet basic income need requirements. So, how much at age 67? How much should they have? How much should they have saved in a multiple of 1, 2, 3, or up to 10 in order to meet basic needs in retirement? Everybody's saying D. Actually, the answer is C. The math is based in part on a worker's beginning to save at age 25 and living to age 92. So a household income with $100,000 would need a minimum of $800,000 to meet basic income needs. But the people that said D, you're absolutely right, because that 8 times is a conservative estimate. Some people say up to 11 times salary at age 65. So those of you who said D, you're absolutely right as well. A popular rule of thumb states that retirees will need 70 to 80% of their pre-retirement income after later life. Some of the best research into replacement ratios by Ian Hewitt, the guy we just talked about, and Georgia State University, has found that a good benchmark is what? A, B, C, or D? 65, 75, 85, or 95. A lot of people use 70 or 80. What does it end up being? Those of you said C are correct. C, this is the one case where the thumb rule isn't far off the mark. In its own study of replacement ratio, the Social Security Administration has noted that households typically need less income later in life. So you need more when you're 60, more when you're 70, but as you go into your 80s, you start to spend less. We want to make sure our clients are thinking about these things as they go into later retirement. What percentage of surveyed workers age 55 plus said they or their spouse have tried to calculate how much they will need to save to live comfortably in retirement? How many surveyed workers age 55 plus have said that they've actually done the math to see how much they'll need to live comfortably? Everybody's saying A. C, 54%. Only half of the workers approaching retirement have done a savings needs calculation, according to the Employee Benefits Research Institute. One encouraging development, that figure is jumped up from 42% up to 54% since 2006. So in the last 15 years, more and more people are now doing that. Among workers age 55 plus, what percentage think they need to save $250,000 or more for retirement? And what percentage this is kind of, it reflects back to the previous question. So age 55 plus, how many think they need to save more than $250,000, and what percentage have already saved $250,000 more, 55 plus? Getting a lot of A's. And actually, the way this quiz did this on the Wall Street Journal, the way it did it was kind of a weird way that they answered. It says D and A. So says about half of the 55 plus demographic thinks a nest egg of at least $250,000. Well, what did we say? How many have calculated how much money they need from the previous question? What percentage had calculated how much money they need from the previous question? Yeah, 54%. So guess what? Those 54% figured out, whoa, I'm going to need at least what? $250,000 or more. But fewer than 1 in 4, this is scary, guys, age 55 plus, fewer than 1 in 4 have reached that goal. So, one of the things that we have to understand is that when we market and we run into people with no money, is it because the marketing is bad? When we market and we get in front of people with no money, is it because the marketing is bad? You're right, Nick. No. Why is it no? Right, Till? No. Why? It means that what? According to this study, what percentage of people don't have money? No, it's about 75%. That's right. 75%. It says fewer than 1 in 4 have reached 250,000. That means 75% of people have very little money. So guys, don't fret when your marketing gets you in front of you. That means that for how many people do you got to get in front of when you're marketing in order to find that person with money? 4, exactly. So please don't call Missy and whine and complain about people in the marketing not having money, unless it's what? Unless you've done 4 or 8. So if you get in front of 8 people, how many of those people should have money? Yes. Now, if you're good at the 5Q system and the 200-point checklist, doesn't matter if you only got in front of 2 people. No, it doesn't. Geez, more sobering. So 36% of this age group have saved less than $10,000. Holy cannoli. What is the average age at which current retirees say they actually retired, and what is the expected retirement age among current workers? So the people who are retired, when did they retire? And people are still working, when do they think they're going to retire? Again, it's kind of a weird way they've answered this. A Gallup poll published in May found that average retiree stopped working at age 61, which is up from age 57 in 1993. The average worker currently expects to retire at 66. So the retirees that are currently retired stopped working at 61, but current people think they're going to work a lot longer. Why is that? What's happening to Social Security? Well, inflation, yep. No money, yep. And then when is the full retirement for Social Security? 66 or 67. Sorry, you're right, 67. So this is a sobering. These are sobering numbers. What percentage of surveyed workers say they plan to continue working for pay in later life? And what percentage of current retirees say they have worked for pay? So what say they're going to work, and how many actually do of current retirees actually do work? Well, it's among the biggest disconnects in retirement planning. A large number of current workers who anticipate earning a paycheck later in life, so a large percentage, 69%, think they're going to, but guess how many actually do? 25. So we would all like to be able to continue to work in retirement. And what do we find out? Why are people not able to work in retirement? Because what kind of jobs do they want in retirement? Health, exactly. What kind of jobs do they want in retirement? Yeah, good ones. So there are a lot of, if you want a job, you can get a job. What are 80% of those jobs paying though? $10 an hour. Yeah, 7, 8, 9, $10 an hour. And geez, I mean, is it really worth? I mean, for somebody who's an adult, I mean, that 40-hour week is going to make you how much money? 40-hour week is going to make you how much money? $400. And after, so many people, and if you can't stand on your feet, or you have hip problems or knee problems or whatever problems, guess what? Holy moly! Yeah, that's right, Kevin. That's not even including taxes. So what percentage of U.S. households are at risk of not having enough savings to maintain their living standards in retirement? 53%. Now, this isn't saying, again, that's at 50, we keep coming back to that 50%. It's about 50-50, right? 50% of people are saving money and know that they need to be saving money. 50% of people are not. If you retire at age 65, what percentage of your life can you expect to live in retirement? So what percentage of your whole life, if you make it to 65, this is kind of worded weirdly. So if you make it to age 65, how much of your entire life will you end up in retirement? Getting a lot of C's, some D's. D is the answer. The average life expectancy of a 65-year-old is 19 years. So you understand, because that's what, 85 years old? So you understand that once you make 65, it lops off those previous 65 years. So it's higher than your average age life expectancy. It's higher than your average life expectancy because you've already made to age 65. So that means you got a lot or a little time to plan for. A lot. A 65-year-old couple retires in 2016. How much more money will they need to cover medical expenses throughout their retirement? We're talking above and beyond Medicare. Above and beyond Medicare. You got it, Nick. Cheryl's got it. Dale's got it. Kevin's got it. Oh, nope, Kevin, you didn't get it. Close, though. Jerry got it. D. A Fidelity poll of pre-retirees age 55, 64 found that nearly half believe they will only need $50,000. The problem is the estimate is $240,000 per couple, and that does or does not include long-term care. You got it, Bonnie. You got that right too. Does not. So this $240,000 is what? For all those things that aren't covered by Medicare. Does Medicare cover out-of-pocket? Exactly right. The out-of-pocket expenses. The national median monthly charge for assisted living is what? C and C. For many, expenses gradually fall in retirement because as people age in their mid-80s, typically spend less on travel and leisure. But here's the wild card: the potential cost for long-term care. The annual cost for a private nursing home is $84,000 a year, and for in-home, it's $34,000. A household age 65 is living on $120,000 a year. At 3% inflation, how much money is that household going to need at 75 and 85? We're all financial planners here. Let's see if we can get this answer right. So how much, if they're living right now at 120, how much are they going to need at age 75 and 85? $161,000 at age 75, $217,000 at age 85. Now again, what did we find out at age 85? Unless we need long-term care, what's the likelihood of happening to what they need right at age 65? What's likely to happen? It's likely to go down. Exactly right, Till. It's likely to go down. So, but if they didn't, and again, that's if they didn't need long-term care. The previous couple of questions were saying that, you know, if you get the card where you're dealt with long-term care, this could actually go up significantly. So that means, if you think about it, if you're paying right now for an annual grocery bill of $5,000, in 20 years, you're going to need $9,000 for the same grocery bill. So which is better? This is a tricky one, guys. Let's see if you can get this. Which is better? A 25% market decline followed by a 50% gain, or a 50% market decline followed by a 25% gain? Everybody's giving me all the answers except the right one. I got lots of A's, B's, and D's, but no C's. Guys, we just talked about this last week. Sequence of return risk. So if I retire in the year, I'm going to get killed if I take that big hit up front. See, either way, the average rate of return is 12.5%. But because of sequence return risk, getting hit with the loss early in retirement can be devastating. Dave, hello. So Dave says, question didn't ask about age. Can somebody help Dave out, please? Can somebody help Dave out, please? Yeah. Is age mentioned in answer number C, Dave? When is Social Security projected not to be able to pay benefits? When is Social Security projected to, I got this one wrong. When is Social Security projected to not be able to pay benefits? This is the one that I got wrong. Very good, Jerry. Very good, Till. I said in 2034. But the answer is A. It's never, right now, it's never going to not be able to pay benefits. A is when the trust fund is, 2034 is when the trust fund is projected to run out. But payroll taxes will support, at least initially, about 80% of the promised benefits, even if Congress does nothing. So when people say they're going to run out of money, it's not. It's just that but could you see, unless they do something, and right now, do they have the intestinal fortitude to do anything about Social Security? No. They love to give tax cuts to the wealthy, but have they done anything to fix Social Security? No. So, but when people are worried about Social Security, you should say, if you're worried about Social Security, should you say that if somebody's really worried about Social Security not being there, what should you tell them? Well, okay, if you're really worried about Social Security not being there, let's plan for this. Let's not plan for all of Social Security. Let's plan for what? Or 80%, right? 80% of the Social Security. Yep. Among the top 20% of household earners, Social Security benefits are projected to replace what fraction of their earnings? So what percentage of their earnings every year will be from Social Security? Getting C's and B's. I got an A's and D's. I got all of them. C. Higher earners tend to assume Social Security will play a small role in their retirement finances, but the payouts are larger and more important than most households realize. It'll end up being about a third of the income that they have coming in or that they spend. So how important, and guys that are doing Social Security workshops, do people with money show up at Social Security workshops? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So, and again, what we found is what? 1 in 4 have money. So there are going to be people with no money going to show up at Social Security workshops. Absolutely. But people with Social Security, guess how they got all that money, guys? How did they get all that money? By worrying about the dime, being frugal, right, Tom? By worrying about where their dimes and nickels are. So if they're, how much of somebody who's wealthy, I mean, we just saw it with the tax cut. The wealthy. If I get on my soapbox here, because guys, all of us financial advisors, did we take it in the shorts with the tax cut? Did financial advisors take it in the shorts with the tax cut? Yep, because we're the service professionals. So service professionals, except for architects and engineers, do they get any of that tax cut with the S corp or the pass-throughs? Nope. So the thing is, high earners, we tend to think what? We don't need Social Security, but we're going to need it. And wealthy people end up are really concerned about getting everything they're owed, and they will show up if you're talking about Social Security. They will want you to do a Social Security report if you're doing Social Security. What percentage of couples are completely confident that each partner is prepared to assume responsibility of their joint retirement finances if necessary? First of all, why is this question? Why is this such a very important question for us at 5Q? Let's see if anybody gets this. Why is this an important question for 5Q members? You're all giving me good answers. The thing I'm looking for is, what is our USP? What is our unique selling proposition? What is our elevator speech? If you're born before 1957 and you live in Olmsted County or whatever county you're in, are you getting all the benefits that you're owed but not receiving? For example, are you using the program that will replace your spouse's lost Social Security check when they pass away? Are you using the program that will pay for long-term care without expensive annual premiums. That's our unique selling proposition. Guys, you should have that. How well should you have that memorized, guys? The unique selling proposition. Because you're going to use it. You use it anytime you are at a party, anytime you're at a business meeting, anytime anybody asks what you do, that's what you're going to tell them. And isn't that what this one is? Isn't that 50% of our unique selling proposition right here? What percentage of couples are completely confident that either partner is prepared to assume responsibility of the joint retirement finances if necessary? Less than a third. Less than a third. Fewer than 1 in 3 couples believe their spouse could take the reins if needed, according to a recent financial survey by Fidelity Investments. Prudential found that recently that 73% of husbands report being in the main decision maker, but 35% of wives say they equally share the task. So, what we want to talk about here for the remainder of the call is the women. My husband wears the pants in our relationship. I just tell him which ones to wear. Now, why are women so important to us and what we do? There's 2 reasons. One is this: they wear the pants in the family. What's the second reason? I know some of you know this. In fact, many of the women on the call know this. Well, they live longer. I'd agree with that, Wade. Absolutely. Baby boomer women comprise the wealthiest demographic out there. Why? Well, it's because they're living longer, and when they live longer, what happens? What happens to the moolah? It goes to them. So women control, according to the State Street Global Advisors, women control or influence 67% of household investment decisions and make 83% of overall purchasing decisions. So why is it that we better be awfully good at talking to the spouse, the wife? Because of that very thing. Now, Boston Consulting Group, when they asked women, a survey of 12,000 women, what do you think they thought about financial advisors? What do you think they thought about financial advisors? Cheryl's got it. Dave's got it. Jerry's got it. Survey found that the financial services is the industry, not one of the industries, the industry that generated more dissatisfaction than any other industry. At the very bottom of the barrel were financial services for both service and the products that we offer. Is it any wonder when you wonder why the wife doesn't show up at the meetings? Why doesn't wife, unless you lay down and we have a script to get the wife to come in, why don't wives show up at the meeting? Because the husband is asking them to go see who? Who is the husband asking them to go see? Well, guys, you're saying financial advisor broker. No. Yes, they're going to see the financial advisor broker. You know what I would say? In the wife's eyes, they're having them go to see, somebody said earlier, the snake oil salesman. Why would she want to take time out of her day to go see a snake oil salesman? Someone they don't trust, somebody that talks about things they don't like. Why would they take time out of their day to do that? That's why they don't want to come see you. And that's why 70% of widows leave their current advisor within a year of their husband's death. 70% of widows leave their advisor within a year of their husband's death. Why? How do those advisors treat the widows? Poorly. An even higher percentage of divorced women leave their current advisor. So why is this important? Well, we better pay attention to what women really want. They control huge amounts of money. They control 2/3 of the decisions with the investments, whether we know it or not. They do not like financial advisors. Hey guys, can we use that? Can we use the fact that they don't like financial advisors? They're already halfway there with the 5Q system, aren't they? Guess Jeff, when we listen to the tapes, who's the first person almost 90% of the time that comes to the conclusion they need to leave the advisor? The husband or the wife?
It's the wife.
It's always the wife, and it's almost about 70% of the time it's right at the beneficiaries. Before we even get to the money, she's telling the husband, We got to get away from this guy. I always knew that we couldn't trust him. I always knew he didn't care about us. I knew see, it's the women who control whether you're going to move or not. So what do they really want? What do women really want? Well, there's several things within this little quote here. Being in a relationship is about learning, understanding, and trusting the other person. First of all, are women looking for rates of return, or are they looking for a relationship? What do you think? All the studies, what do you think it says? They're looking for returns or relationship? Yeah, relationships. And how do they determine whether a relationship is worth having? It's if that other person understands me and I can trust that other person. So everything we want to do, now think about the 5Q system. How much of the system is about making sure they understand what it is that we're talking about? How much of the system is about creating trust? It's all about that. Now, when you're doing all that stuff, what's the guy doing with his foot? What's the husband? And again, I'm being sexist here, but can we all agree that it can be the other foot on the other foot? Sometimes the women control the investments and the man controls is worried about the family. But most times, at least with the people working with, are still the man takes care of the investments and the woman takes care of the family. So either way, when I'm saying the husband, I'm really just saying the one person in the household that controls the investments. So what's he doing with his foot? He's tapping it, right? Because he's bored. Why are we talking about this? I want to talk about what? Return. So when we talk about women, are they more worried about return or whether they can trust that person? Yes, they're much more worried about trust. They're also worried about value. Am I getting value here? So here's what women value: financial security and the family dynamic. They're worried about, am I going to be safe? Now, why are women worried about financial security? They're realists. What do I mean by realists? Well, they live longer, but what's the importance of living longer? You're right. You're absolutely right. They live longer. What's the importance of living longer? So you're all right. They're going to live longer. They're going to be single. But here's the other thing. What have they seen in their lives? Because women take care of the families, what have they seen? They've seen sisters, mothers, friends being caretakers. They know what happens when the money runs out. They know that what happened to mom when she lost dad's Social Security check. What happened to sis when she lost her husband's Social Security check? What happened to her friend? They know that. So they're not worried about driving a better car next year. They're not worried about bragging to their. How many women do you think at their book clubs or coffee classes are talking about what their great rate of return and what stock they bought? What do you think the percentage is? High or low? But guys, when you're golfing, when you're doing whatever, how often does freaking money come up and how their great returns comes up? A lot. And I'm not talking about hanging out with financial advisors. I'm talking about the doctors, the mechanics, the architects, the office, white collar workers. It comes up every freaking discussion about this great stock that they have. Women don't talk about that. They're not trying to make $1 million. They're trying to make sure that what they have doesn't go away, and they're worried about the family. Men, they want great rates of return. They love talking about that. And if you don't believe me, this is the study about what women talk about on social media. Relationships, expectations from husband or boyfriend, expectations from relationships, humor, marriage, and social-related issues, love stories, hate relationships, breakups, proposals, family pressures, private conversations. This is what they talk about. Is this what men talk about? When we look at men on social media, what are they talking about? Any of this crap? I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. Well, I just gave you the answer right there, at least my opinion. So when we look at female versus men, communication-wise, men are hierarchical. They're saying that, that my guy knows what he's talking about, so we need to listen to it. But women are saying what? Don't tell me what to do. I need to be included in this conversation. Why don't women want to go? Why don't women want to go to the meetings with their current advisors? Because they feel like it's an inclusive environment or a hierarchical environment. Yeah, the advisors don't talk to them, right, Nick? That they don't feel like it's being inclusive. Interpersonal, they want competitive or they want collaborative? Collaborative. group discussions, or independent by doing? And guys, this is why you get into, when you use the 5Q system and you run into a do-it-yourselfer that's married, why does the 5Q system work when you run into a do-it-yourselfer that's married? Because does the wife really think their husband is that smart when it comes to money? Does the wife really think he's that smart? No, that's right. Everybody's saying no. They don't. Now, they don't know enough to challenge him. But when we start using the 5Q system, we're inclusive and we're collaborative and we start to have discussions. She now feels empowered to say what? Honey, there's a lot of things wrong here. Now, if the do-it-yourselfer has to throw himself under the bus or Vanguard under the bus, guess who he's going to throw under the bus when we've all discovered in our inclusive, collaborative group discussions that there's a lot of things wrong here? Who is he going to throw under the bus, himself or Vanguard? Yeah, that's right. He throws Vanguard under the bus. Neuroscience, they're looking for connections, not individualization. And wealth, see, men want success. They want high returns. That's why they're talking about it all the time with their buddies. But, of course, guys, they always tell you about that great stock that they just made a ton of money on. What are they also not telling you about? That's right, Charles, the 5 that they didn't make money on. Women want security. So what do we do? How do we do this? Well, you got to engage your target audience. Should you be talking to just the man or both? You got to be talking to both. So how do you do that? Now, here's one way you should never do it. Never do it this way. Is to say, so John, what do you think is going to happen to the market? And he says, and then I say, so Mary, do you have anything to add? What does that sound like? I've heard guys do this. What does it sound like? Yeah, hierarchical, exactly right, Raymond. It's dismissive, like, do you have anything, we're coming to you, so don't do that. So when I'm asking questions, I don't ask the same question to 2 different people. I'll try to ask the husband, then I'll ask the wife, then I'll ask the husband, then I'll ask the wife. And does it have to be back and forth like ping pong? Or do you just have to be cognizant that you're looking to get both of them involved? Just be cognizant to get them both involved. Don't go back and forth. Now, so Jim, this one's for you, and Mary, this one's for you, and Jim, this one's for you, and Mary. No, don't do that. Just get them, have a conversation with them. Now, if one of the people are not involved, and I've heard it where the men are involved, and I've heard it where the women are involved, and that's a danger sign. So what would you say to that, Jeff, if you're listening to a tape and you hear just the man or the woman being involved? What's the advice that you give advisors when you hear that?
Well, you have to get everybody involved, so start asking questions of the other person.
Now, the person that's not involved, guys, should you be asking difficult questions or extremely easy questions? Extremely easy questions. Extremely easy questions. So we got to talk about, and again, women are looking for what? High rates of return or value in the relationship. What am I getting out of this relationship? They're looking for value. And is there any system out there that provides more value to clients than the 5Q system? And when it comes to risk, all the studies that have been done on risk, where are women when it comes to risk? They are lower. A little lower or a lot lower? A lot. And when it comes to women, family is everything. So what's the first half of our meetings, 5Q meeting, or the 200-point checklist meetings about? And it's amazing. Again, where did I say 70% of them, when we listen to tapes, when people are following the scripts, where is it 70% of the time that the wife says we're done? At what part? Yep, that's right, Nick. The beneficiaries, right, Michael? The beneficiaries. Because, guys, have we even talked about the money yet when the wife has already decided to leave? No, we haven't even got to the money. And she's already said, we're leaving. And she's looking for collaboration, and she's looking for storytelling. Do we use storytelling in 5Q? Yes, that's almost every script has some sort of story. So how do you do these things? Well, there's lots of ways to learn how to do them. I'll just give you one example. But at the 15-minute drill, when we send those tape reviews, some of the things we talk about is how to get the wife involved and how to be collaborative and how to tell stories and things like that. But one of the things you'd probably want to go and listen to is this husband and wife disagree, how to fix something. How do you handle it when a husband and a wife disagree? So I think it's more instructive for you to listen to that tape. Go to the so this is again under the 5Q getting started toolbox 15-minute drill. Then we archive all the tape breakdowns that we've been doing that we do send you every single week. And guys, please listen to those tape breakdowns. But if you go down, drag it down past that first page, you're going to find a husband and wife disagree, and then I show you exactly how to fix it when a husband and wife disagree on something. So what I'm going to show you how to do on it, and it's better to listen to the actual tape. But essentially, if the husband's saying one thing and the wife's saying another thing, what do you think I'm going to do? And those of you that have coached with me on this, what do we do? When the husband says one thing and the wife says something that's 180 degrees different. Anybody know? Okay. Yeah, it's impossible to meet in the middle because that's going to be a discussion that's going to last a long time. We don't fall on the sword. Okay, so what you do is this. The person who gives you the right answer, because one of them is right, one of them is wrong. The person who's answering it correctly, you're going to give them a short, sweet, that a boy. You got it. You know how things are going on, so that's exactly how it works, and that's short. 10 seconds of you are right. You're going to tell them they are right, and then you're going to say, and Mary, you're absolutely hit on the mark as well because blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to explain, find something in what they said that makes that right. Is there always some kernel of truth in every answer, guys? Can you find a kernel of truth in every answer, a kernel of something to praise in everything you hear? Yes. So the first thing you do is you're going to give the person who's actually giving the correct answer, you're going to tell them they're right, but don't go on and on and on because you're going to start to alienate the other person. So you tell the first person they're right because they were the right person, but then you're going to immediately switch and tell the other person why their point of view was also right. And then you're going to ask questions of that person. After you told them that the way they think is right, you're going to ask them small and easy questions to get them to agree with you and the other spouse. Just like we do when they answer a question wrong. Does that make sense, or am I getting you confused there? Anybody confused, or everybody get it? So, one saying one thing, the other thing. I'm going to agree with the person saying the right thing. 10, 15 seconds. Then I'm going to say, and what you're saying is exactly on target too. And then tell them why they're right. The people who are the spouse that was wrong, while they're right. And then I'm going to ask them simple and easy questions to bring them back to the actual correct answer. Make sense? But it's well worth you going back and looking up this tape review, this little 8-minute tape review to learn how we do that. Make sense? So when you've mastered the crib notes and motive, the daily practice of the 15-minute drill and practicing your GOTS, and you listen to the 5-minute moneymaker and watch those tape breakdowns like I'm just talking about right there, that's when you're going to bring on every client you want. And how important is marketing when you start closing most of the clients you get in front of for all their money? It's not. How many clients, how many closes does it take to make $1 million a year? 54. That's right, 54, 57. So is that a lot of marketing, or do you just got to make sure the people you're getting in front of, you're closing them? So keep doing these things, guys. You're all doing a great job. And please use Jeff and myself. We're that tool that nobody else has. So tape things. Get better every day. Do your 15-minute drill, and you will be able to close anybody you want to get in front of. So have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you all on Monday. Thanks, everybody.